A very warm good afternoon to all our learners who are joined from different parts of the country. It is indeed a pleasure to host this session for you from IGNOU Rail Center Vadagara. As you know, IGNOU Rail Center Vadagara is the nodal center for delivery of counseling sessions for many programs, and one of those programs is the postgraduate diploma in adult education. I'm sure you have enjoyed the past 3 sessions that we have brought to you of MAE 001, where the resource person, of course, was Dr. VT.Jalajakumari, the Assistant Rail Director of IGNOU Rail Center, Cochin. And today it's no different. Today you will be having another very, very incisive session on MAE 001, Understanding Adult Education. Now, this is a very significant area. Without a clear understanding of adult education, we will find ourselves short in the delivery of many educational schemes aimed at adults in this country. And therefore, I request all of you to pay rapt attention to this particular session. And this session will be taken, as usual, by Dr. VT.Jalajakumari, and it is my pleasure and privilege to welcome her to this session. And as in all previous sessions, I'm sure it will be a session of great importance and great, where a great deal of understanding will also be imparted to the learners. So I hope all of you will enjoy this session. And as usual, once the session is over, we'll put the recording up in our YouTube channel of RC Vadagara. And for any future reference, you and your friends can definitely come back and refer to these video sessions again and again. So without much ado, let me welcome once again Dr. VT.Jalajakumari, Assistant Rail Director at IGNOU Rail Center Cochin, who by this time needs no further introduction. So over to you, ma'am. And just one thing, we are putting up a link of attendance. So learners who are joining in, may kindly put their attendance on the link which is available on the chat box. So over to you, ma'am. And as usual, it's a pleasure to welcome you.
Thank you very much, sir. As always, I am again and again being privileged with the sessions on MA Adult Education program. And sir, I am very much thankful to you, sir, for this opportunity. And this is our 4th day's journey with this study material and the course code of Postgraduate Diploma in Adult Education. The first course, MAE 001. And we were covering a lot of related concepts in the previous sessions. The historical aspects of adult education we discussed, and the related terminologies and the constructs on adult education was also understood by the learners. And later we were discussing about the philosophy, sociology, psychology, and theories of learning. And yesterday's class, we were discussing about the curriculum development of curriculum, and the factors affecting development of curriculum. What are the principles for development of curriculum? What will be the approach, and what is the process for curriculum development, and how we can include the learning theories and the communication mass media with it. Today, totally we are shifting to the transaction of curriculum and its evaluation. Communication and evaluation. These are the rest of the topics we have to discuss with. So, it is indeed the hierarchical order we are keeping, because once studying the social and the background of the main theme of the study, adult education, its background is historical, sociological, philosophical, psychological, everything, we constructed a curriculum for adult education. Means we have developed in such a way, we were moving ahead, and we were in the position to tell we have almost done that process of development of curriculum for adult education. Now, it is the time to communicate the curriculum already developed with the learners. In that way, we were thinking and we were discussing the matters to learn. So, please focus on the slides given here. Curriculum curriculum transaction, basics of communication in adult education. Because curriculum transaction is being done through the communication processes. And the process of communication also being, we have to learn very well, thoroughly, the process of communication very systematically. So the terminology communication everybody knows, because we are living in a world where communication becomes that much transparent, and technologized. And this is the era of communication. But that is not enough. The imparting or involvement of our communication in the present day life is not sufficient, and it is not enough for imparting a communication process in the communication technology in the process of education, especially in adult education curriculum. So systematically, step by step, we have to go through the communication processes, its techniques, its use, the factors affecting everything in a nutshell, to study about the transaction of adult education program among the system or in the society. So, regarding communication, what is the first concern? Who is communicating? What is communicating? And to whom we are communicating? And when it is communicated? So these are the prime concern regarding communication and different ways of communication, verbal, audio, visual, etc. Then how an effective communication can be done, and different types of communication, forms of communication, etc. In general, we have to look. First, to see what is the process of communication. We all are thinking that we are always communicating each other, even using social media. People are always in a communication process, especially in the field of education. That not only in the field of education, even in our day-to-day life, the full time, I think we people are communicating nowadays than the earlier scenario. Here, thoroughly, we have to go through the process of communication, because the communication process first thinks about the about conceives the message. When we are going to do one communication to any person, to a second person, the conceiving of message is the first matter. Means what we are going to tell to somebody. That is what the message conceiving. We should have an idea about what to communicate with others. After thinking the matter to communicate, we are encoding it. Sometimes in the form of voice, in the form of a text, or in some symbolic form. If you are thinking about WhatsApp, we will send our messages sometimes as voice, sometimes as some symbols, emojis, etc. are the example of that. So the way of encoding is the second thing. We have to communicate something, we will encode it in a particular form. Then we will utilize that encoded message through a proper channel, through an appropriate channel. The message sent through that appropriate channel will be decoded by the receiver. It will reach to the other person, and the receiver will decode it, and they will interpret it. Then they will give feedback. This is one cycle of communication. If we have given a message to somebody, that person hasn't seen it, the person hasn't received, they read it, they interpreted it, but they didn't reply. The process of communication is not completed. When a communication process is being completed, means when we are getting the feedback for the message we have sent. So that cycle has to be completed. Then only we can say that a communication happened. So this is very important. This concept of communication is very much visible in the social media. If we are telling about WhatsApp, once we have sent the message, we are eager to know whether the message has been read. And if we respond in some way, then only we will think, we feel that our message has not been interpreted or utilized or replied. So to complete the rotation, complete the process of communication in one rotation, the circle has to be filled up. So the steps in a one communication circle is, the first one is conceiving the message. We are encoding our idea or our information in a particular form. I told you already. Then using an appropriate channel, and the receiver will decode it, receiver will interpret it, they will reply or give feedback, provides feedback. So this is the one complete cycle of one communication process. So the same thing has been again given. The sender decides the message to be transmitted, and the sender encodes the message. Sender selects the appropriate channel of communication. Receiver receives the message. Receiver decodes the message. Then receiver provides the feedback to the sender. In this program, there are some occasions where some barriers are appearing. What are the barriers for a proper communication using all these steps? This is not only in the adult education program, but the communication process in general. We have to study and we have to. Then we have to apply the all possibilities and the steps of the communication process in education general and adult education specifically. This is what. So, what are the barriers of communication? First, think about a person who is not able to speak well. That is a barrier regarding the communicator or the sender of the message. If he is not able to send an oral message to somebody, if the person is not able to speak, that is a physical barrier for oral communication. If the person is not able to write something, there is also. And if a blind person communicates, all these are physical barriers in communication. Then intellectual barriers will be there. If the person has some other problems, intellectual problem means the ability, he can read, he can understand, but if the communication is properly not understood by the person, understood by the person, definitely it will be interrupted. Because on the basis of the understanding of the communication or the message received, only that person can give the feedback back to the sender. If the person is having some intellectual problem for that, definitely that is also a barrier. And some emotional barriers are there. Emotional barriers mainly depends on the situation. If the situations where the sender is engaged with the provision, etc. One second, please. One second. Sorry for the interruption. Some urgent matter came and I was not able to communicate with. So I'm coming back. Hello. 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 Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
You're
sir.
audible. Audible.
Okay. Something happened in between. That's why, sir. Sorry,
No
sir.
problem. No problem. Absolutely no. Please continue.
Okay. I'll share the screen. It's visible now, sir? Yes.
No. No, it's visible. No, it's
Okay. So there are so many barriers like that. And some technical barriers also will be there in between. Communication means technical barriers means if the system is not working, if we are communicating through digital mode, because if internet is not available, technical barriers also will be there in between a communication. And some other technical barriers, because that is what happened now. He's the best example for that. Some technical issue came and the interference from some other person or whatever it may be. So this type of environmental or the surroundings interference will also affect communication. So actually, that is what happened now. So these are the barriers in communication. Now, how we can overcome the barriers in communication? That is another matter. We have to, because there are so many technologies to overcome the barriers in communication. Because if you think that a person is a physically a problematic person, problematic means not a problematic, but the physical, some physical illness or some physical impairedness, something is there. Definitely, there are a lot of solutions nowadays. So any kind of person can be benefited by the inventions of some technological interventions, and they can be benefited to overcome the physical barriers. Like that, intellectually also. If some problem, if one person is writing an examination, our case itself we can take. If the person is not able to communicate the matter inside, means he read everything, he studied everything, but he is not able to write in the stipulated time the examination, we are providing a scribe. So in all ways we can overcome the barriers of the communication. Now, how an effective communicator be? If a communicator we are considering as an effective communicator, the first thing is that the communicator should have the knowledge of the matter being communicated. If the matter is not known to the person, how much ability he is having to communicate all the other uh, positive sides regarding the presentation mode, so many other matters are there. We will discuss all that matters later. The first and foremost thing is the person who is communicating should have the knowledge of the matter. Then their attitude to communicate. What is the attitude of that person? Attitude reflects in many ways. If that person is having a social attitude, then only he will face the people to tell something about. If the person is having an acceptance mood or attitude, then he will be listening to others, a pleasing face. And totally the attitude of the person always depends the effectiveness of the communication. Like that, if the person is very positive and very having good attitude, all the positive attitudes are there, he has good knowledge, but he is not able to spell it out nicely, what is the result? The communication won't be effective. So when we are checking our own communication skills or the concerns regarding our transaction, we can check the deficiencies. On these points we can check whether the person is in which category the person includes, whether the person is a communicator with apt knowledge or sufficient knowledge, what is his attitude towards others, and how he is managing or how she is managing this message transaction process in a skillful way or not. So for an effective communication, knowledge, attitude and skill are very important. So many factors you can include. Yesterday also I told you, don't think that the matters discussed in the class or in the study material are sufficient for communicating your efficiency at master degree level or at a higher level. So please utilize sufficient points and enough points for writing and communicating in the examination by referring other materials also. So that also always I have to remind you as good students. Now, generally we told competency, attitude and skills. Now, each and every component of this matters regarding communication has to be taken into specific aspects. When a communication is going on, suppose you are a student or you are a teacher, the first and foremost factor which is affecting communication is the listening process. We know in several occasions of our life. Otherwise, if you are a teacher, you can understand that the teacher is saying, now I am also telling something. If the student is sitting before me and listening me, if the student is not properly listening me, I cannot think that the all matters communicated are getting into that person. No. So hearing is not listening. Hearing and listening both are different. Mechanically we can hear. It is only a sensing process. It's not perceiving. What is the difference between sensing and perceiving? Perception is we are attaining some concepts meaningfully by using our sense organs. So external messages we are accepting and we are utilizing it in a fruitful manner and keeping in our mind, and we are developing a concept on that. Then only we can say that we have perceived that communication of that message has been perceived by that listener or the person who is take part in the communication process. So listening is very important. And the voice is, if very nicely the speaker is presenting everything and the person is sitting here listening well, but the voice is not reaching to that person, no effect. So voice is another factor. Then speed of delivery. If the person is telling everything all together in a very speedy manner, the listener cannot follow. That is a big issue. In most of the lecturer classes and in this type of online classes, this will be highly means classes will be enriched, but the information are if more or it's a heavy matter is content is given that cannot be affordable by the student. Like that, if the voice is not coming properly and in a very quickly manner, the speaker is telling everything to cover because of the speed of the presentation, that also will be difficult because the thinking process and the hearing process, the communicating process, both has to be have one alignment. If the person is telling something, the listener is taking it into his thought in a very slow manner, that is also a problem. So the peculiarities of the listener is also a problem, but the speaker can control it. Both are there. Now, what about the quality of the content? That's also very important because if the matter is not felt as relevant or the matter is not sufficiently good qualitatively, the listener won't be interested to listen it or hear it. Then another big issue is that, especially in English, this happens all over the world, pronunciation. If a person from another state or another country speaks one language and the hearing person is from another place, or it is not properly pronounced, that is also an issue for the one unpleasant feeling will be there, and that won't, and it will be difficult for them also. For some particular words, they won't get it. So pronunciation is a matter of concern in the effectiveness of communication. Then body language. If the in education, the learning process, it is very compulsorily, we are teachers, teacher educators are telling to the teacher trainees that you don't sit in a stiffened manner. If without any movement, simply you are sitting and like a machine you are speaking, people won't be interested in that. It will make a monotonous situation. A boredom situation will be that. It's very boring, isn't it? So, body language, the impressions, the expressions, the stimulus variation, everything will affect the conversation communication. Like that, the facial expression again, it comes, I already told. And the eye contact. The teacher is looking somewhere, the student is looking somewhere, definitely that will affect. That is why very studious students, they are always sitting in front of the class. Our great philosopher of education, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, he told, from the part of a teacher, he never, you don't think that where the student is sitting. If the student is sitting in front of the class or in the back bench, wherever it is, teacher has to look at the face of the students, and in front of him, the teacher is there. Or in front of her, the student is the concern, not the place of the student where he is sitting, where she is sitting. But it has, from the part of the listener, some problem is there. Because if he is sitting behind a pillar, sometimes the visibility of the teacher and the student will be affected. That may gradually lead him into an uninterested way, and he will be deviated to some other thoughts. So listening will be affected. So the eye contact maintaining is a very important part. When a person communicates to the other person, look at his face. The looking at the face is a very big important point, because if we are speaking something, the genuineness, its a sincerity, relevance, and its strength, everything will be effectively transacted if we are looking at the face. If some people are trying to communicate some behave in a bad manner, we can stop by looking at face. So eye contact is a very big matter in the process of communication. This has been, yesterday I was telling about you micro teaching. So there's micro skills of a teacher to interact with a learner. Like that, all these matters are very important points in teaching, learning process. And when curriculum transaction is the teaching process, isn't it? So whatever it is, adult education, continuing education, or formal, non-formal, whatever it is, teaching process is the communication process. So in that process, we have to consider all these matters. So again, I have to tell you what is the skill. What are the skills of a good communicator? Everybody can communicate. I'm not telling about the qualities of a communicator or skills of the communicator. It's a good communicator. That is important. When the communication has to be considered as a good communication, listening consideration is the first thing, both from the speaker and the receiver. Then observation. In the communication process, thorough observation has to be there. And the persons involved in the communication, empathy has to be there. And the person has to have an ability to summarize the points. Very brief, very elaborately we can speak. Sometimes we are briefing something, but the ability to summarize the things before the people, that is also another good quality, good skill of a communicator. And the communicator has to have the ability of flexibility. We are addressing a public. Suppose we are addressing a public, and one topic was also given to the speaker. The speaker comes with well thorough planning, training, and preparation. Sometimes the audience are not up to the expecting level, or their behavioral patterns, their sitting facilities, and sometimes we were expecting adults only, and children are also there with them, and some students are there. So a heterogeneous type of group is there. Definitely, the speaker has to not deviate, to deal the situation in a flexible manner. Otherwise, we cannot take them in hand. We cannot take the attention of the people who are sitting, and that means situationally. Sometimes that teacher came to the class with all the preparations and all the supporting documents, or the teaching facilitating handbook, some other teaching aids. So everything will be there with the teacher, but immediately while asking some questions, students are nobody knows the answer. How a teacher can continue? No, never. Because if the students are in a position having the prerequisite of the learning of the particular concept, the teacher cannot move ahead. Definitely, teacher has to come back. Teacher has to make the prerequisite of the situation to make them comfortable to move ahead. So the whole prepared things have to be kept somewhere. We have to keep it aside. We have to go back. We have to take some other techniques, some other strategies. If sometimes you have to say 2-3 times according to the individual learners, the ability of the learner. So that is what learner-centered education. So flexibility is always needed in any kind of all kinds of educational situations, or all kinds of communication, not only in classroom, not only in public speak, wherever we need. If we are sitting in the office, students are coming to see us. IGNOU students are coming to see us. Some people are very irritated and restless. They're on the way itself, they will start to speak. We will tell, please be seated. Please be seated. Because once, if they are sitting, if they are in a comfortable position, that itself will help them to be relaxed. If we are allowing them to continue in the same position by standing in front of us, they will, with the same strength and energy, they will continue. That will make irritation. But our situations are also affected. So, systematically, we cannot sit like a machine and give the information. No. Accordingly, we are doing. If the person is not at all aware of any of the thing going on in the IGNOU system, we have to tell something more. We have to behave in a flexible manner to keep him to listen us, or to make him understand about the things happened, or what has to be done further, how the issue has to be solved, like that. So everywhere in life, flexibility in communication is a very needed compulsory component, and it is for a good communicator, it will come automatically. They know how to present the thing situation. That is what flexibility. And timing is another important thing. If I am taking this class for 5 hours, I'm sure you won't sit to hear or listen me. Time is a matter. Time is a scientific matter also. Not only the patience of the span of attention, the brain has to function, no? If the communication is going on, a person who is sitting before us has to have the patience to hear us. If we are breaking it by communicating for long time communication is not good in any of the conversation. We have to limit it. So timing of communication is very important. Otherwise, if both the persons are interested or both of them have the same objective, then that will go through. Sometimes people see, we know that lovers, they can speak till the end of the day. That's it. And they can stop also. If they are not going in a smooth way, definitely they will fight each other and they will stop the communication. Everywhere it is. So according to the interest and the situation's genuineness, we have to change. We have to keep timing also. In official matters, we should not speak more because officers are very um, means busy with their works, and they cannot, because some people are waiting there. We cannot speak for half an hour too. If we are consulting a doctor, don't spend too much time before the doctor by speaking unnecessary matters. Doctor also, because people are waiting outside. So genuineness of the communication and good communication accordingly. But sometimes we have to continue the conversation for a long time. Some people need it. At that time, we have to change. So time also uh, on the basis of flexibility and need of the situation. And for a good communicator, without planning, don't come for communication. Don't do the communication process because planning has to be there. If there is no planning, if simply we are coming and doing it, definitely the things will be out of bounds, out of the situation. The points to be communicated will be lost. We'll forget. So planning is also necessary for good communication. I was telling about listening. Listening. If we are again going through that particular point, listening is, I told you, very important thing. A clear mind is needed to put attention on a particular thing. We have to concentrate what is taught. So learn to listen, not just hear. So hearing cannot be considered as listening. I already told. Another important point is there. So it's a very good quality it is showing the patience to hear somebody. Some people won't allow anybody to speak because they sometimes they may house on prejudgment. Before speaking from one side, the other person will start to reply. An incomplete statement or incomplete message definitely divert them to speak in a wrong manner. So avoid prejudgment. Do not prejudge the speaker because the appearance or occupation or jump to any conclusion before hearing what is said is will always make some problem in communication. So be open-minded when you are engaged with a communication process. Be open-minded. Hear patiently what is said, what is being said, not what you would like to hear. That's very important thing. Some people, because they have some prejudgment, so they are thinking that we have visited them to say something. No, hear first. We may be wrong. Our assumption may be wrong. So listen first. Don't try to hear what you expect. Hear what they have to tell, or what is the message is the. That's appreciate the speaker's point of view. Even if it is wrong, you don't directly tell them you are wrong. So okay, I agree with you, but slowly we can say this has one this diversion also. This has this type of one meaning also or interpretation also, that also to be considered, and patiently, smoothly, happily we can have the opinion of that person. We have to appreciate even if it is wrong. And again, in listening, yes, eye contact is very much important. So why students, if the teacher is always looking everywhere, it means the face of the student doesn't have, he is not getting a chance to deviate something, isn't it? So listening is also on the basis of the eye contact. So eye contact is needed for from the part of the listener to communicate well, at the same time getting attention of the person who is behaving as the receiver. And if we are listening them, that is also our from our part also it is listening. If we are putting the eye contact properly, they may think that we are listening them. That is also there. And watch for signals. Sometimes if we are in a public, in a mass, we are speaking something or sharing something, some people may need some special, they may have some need, sometimes they may be seeking one permission from our side to go for some immediate purpose. Try not to make any disturbance to the whole people, just have to give some signals. If permission was asked in the earlier stage of the class, or earlier itself the permission was taken, they will hint us at 11:30 I will just go out. At 11:30 if the person is giving like that, simply allow, give a hint. It's enough. Gestures are enough for that. If a student came late, a class is going on very well, just you can allow them to get into. No need to where you are, why you are late, like that. So many questions are asking and disturbing, the whole system will be disturbed. That is there. So gestures always done. If a student is doing some mischievous matters in the class and not listening the teacher, just by one look you can control. Is it? No need to say anything. Just by one look you can control. You can find it out what the student was doing, whether the student is listening or engaged with some other work. Can. If we are standing somewhere in a public place, if some people have some bad intention, from our gestures they will understand that this will be dangerous if they are approaching us further. Definitely we can hint our intention, our restriction, isn't it? So communication skill, listening at the same time, open-mindedness, avoiding of prejudgment, watching for signals and giving gestures and right time, all are skills for communication. We can praise also without telling anything. By giving a smile, our eyes will speak what we are, what is our approach, how we are behaving when we are listening a beautiful music. Unknowingly, we will respond, our body will respond, isn't it? That smoothness will come in our mind, in our eyes, in our lips, even in our body as a whole. That's it. So, that is what communication. The whole combinations comes together. It will be a beautiful communication. And exact main points. The needed main points, pick out and repeat yourself as keywords or phrases. And definitely that will fix in the mind of the people who are listening. Like that. We have to give feedback, proper feedback for the communication. Especially you have to think that you are in a class. Proper feedback is always needed for continuing a good communication. That is, then only the communication, I already told, for completing the cycle of the communication, feedback is needed. Positive also. Positive feedback we can give. If according to the situation, whatever feedback is needed, that we can give. Verbally and non-verbally, by nodding and smiling. And we should be very alert to provide suitable remark or ask questions to assist your understanding of the message. That's why teachers are asking, you got it? May I repeat again? Like that we are asking so many things. And some mannerisms are there for teachers. to make the students who are sitting before them, make them understand everything. And another good thing is that if in the communication process, the listener can also give the feedback. The listener can note the points. They can write down the good students. Always they are sitting in the classrooms and they are making the lecture notes. So what all main points are communicated or given by the teacher has to be taken down as notes. This will definitely help us to write the good points in the examination other than that of the study material or classroom transaction. So study material, because from classroom transaction, teacher will say a good teacher will always contribute a lot more than that of the class materials given, isn't it? That points will be very much beneficial for getting good achievement, good marks, good scores in the examination. And when with an overlook, we will get the whole concept. If we are writing down the main points while the communication goes on, even in seminars, even in some other big occasions, we can write down the notes needed and the main points to be memorized. Now, different occasions of communications I am going to tell you. Our day-to-day conversations, classrooms, interviews, seminars, everything comes in the platform of communication, and everywhere communication is there. See, if we are conducting an interview, how the communication will go on, has to go on. Before that, what are the different interview situations, different types of interviews? I'm not telling about group interview, personal interview, that type clarification, but see, what are on the basis of the purposes of the interview, we can classify interviews. Selection interviews are there, isn't it? Promotion interviews are there, appraisal interviews are there, counseling interviews are there, disciplinary interviews are there, grievance interviews are there. So many kinds of interviews are there on the basis of adult education. Our background is that, our platform is that. If we are communicating the curriculum of adult education, sometimes it may be for the selection, for giving some promotions, and for taking the appraisal of persons. And we may be involved with counselings and disciplinary interviews. I think the whole thing already told means counseling interview. Counseling interview means as a counselor is sitting, a client will be there, and the counselor will ask some questions needed for introducing the processing of the counseling or to get information from the client. That is counseling interview. Then appraisal interviews generally takes place annually to review the processes of appraisal reports we are sending from the systems. That is a review interview. In the form of interview also it can be conducted. If an audit party comes, they can ask a lot of questions beyond the verification of the documents, because that interview will give clarification regarding the things done. If they have some doubt, they can make interviews with the officials. That is there. Promotion interviews, interview on the basis of the sitting status, the people have to be promoted. So they will be, that is also a review like interview, and the asking of the vision of the persons. And selection also, interview selections for jobs and all. These type of interviews are there. Grievance interview is also there. If one person is approaching for dealing with an issue, especially if your technical matters, you are coming and asking to the RC people, we will ask you some questions. We are not simply asking. First we will ask, what is your which is your program? What is your enrollment number? Have you submitted the assignment? Have you completed the term and examinations? Whether the grade card is reflected with the total completion of the process of the courses. The student is telling something, sometimes I didn't get my provisional certificate, or I was not included in the convocation. That is a grievance. If we are asking like this, immediately the student can review the status. Student will be able to answer. The employer can, the person who is the official can find out the background situations of the person. Then only he can solve the issue through a proper step. So that is also an interview. Then, how should be an interview? If we are conducting an interview, how an interviewer should be? Interview, the greatest point here is both are communicating, isn't it? So, interviewer is communicating with the interviewee. So, aim. If somebody is coming, simply sitting and asking some questions, for example, if the student comes to inquire about the status of the certificate, from where you are coming, whatever it is, that is not the problem of the certificate issue. And simply asking some other irrelevant questions without any aim. If the officer is having the aim to provide facilities or to solve the issue of the particular case, definitely he will ask up questions. Otherwise, some other questions will be asked. To whom you met earlier when you came for the same thing. The student will say multiple times, I have visited nothing has been received. Like that, sometimes the student may say. Then, if the person is asking about the person to whom the student met earlier, it's not a relevant matter. So, what is the aim? To avoid the person from that situation, sometimes the person may ask so many other questions to avoid. So it will come soon. Don't worry, like that. They don't know what is the status. Why it has not come? Simply say it will come and go. So aim of the person. For what purpose this interview is conducted? And if a person is sitting and asking some irrelevant questions in an interview, a brilliant student will be worried because he didn't get or she didn't get the opportunity to reveal himself. Because the question was on the basis of so many other matters. That reason itself is enough not to be selected, isn't it? So, aim of the purpose of the interview is the best thing to for familiarize themselves. That is whatever correspondence, job application form, curriculum vitae, job specification, job description, whatever it is, the aim has to be the main thing for the interview. Another thing is there. Setting of the interview is also a part of the communication or the effective interview. Time of the interview, the place where the meeting is going on, the room and the facilities and the situations, the size of the room. In a dark room, in a very narrow room, if an interview is conducted, the interviewee who is sitting will not be comfortable. They may feel that some other matter is going to be happened. So they won't be in a position to reveal themselves or in a smooth manner. So the situation is always made. That is set up or setting. Then the structure of the interview. The structure of the interview means when we are conducting an interview, a pre-planned interview schedule should be there. A format has to be prepared. Then only in a standardized manner we can assess the people. That standardized matter will be kept before the interviewer. And in the same way, if we are interviewing all the people, we can compare them. We can compare the abilities of the people who are attending in the interview. Isn't it? If 50 people attended, 50 type of questions asked, how we can come to a conclusion that this person is efficient to do this particular job? No. That is why application forms are there for getting admission at all. Because a particular format is there. That is structure of the communication. Format is needed for a good interview. And at the time of the interview or during the interview, a lot of things has to be considered. Means, for what purpose this interview is going on. If a hint is given for that and that objective is revealed, what the interview will be relaxed. And they will understand that what they are going to ask. They want to know my educational capabilities, my work experience, like that. So that type of a clear and what is that, transparent uh, situation should be there, and questions should be open, questions should be included when an interview is going on. A communication has to be maintained in a smooth way to give chances to the respondent. Otherwise, if we are asking some closed questions, student can say yes or no. That yes or no is not sufficient to assess one person. So we don't use closed questions. We can ask, are you willing to join or not? Like that. That is there. So yes or no we can say. But the main theme of the interview should not be given in closed forms of questions. And here it is telling that the expression, I already told, the expression, the facial expressions, the tone, the look, the eye contact, everything is very much needed, and I explained already. After the interview also, we have conducted an interview. I told already that a communication process is completed with feedback. Is it? So interview is also a communication process. It has to be completed with a feedback. Feedback is that feedback has to be given to the interviewee. So sum up the interview with the stating that how we were completely doing this one, and in the midst of the interview as you go, don't say you're asking something and before completion of the answer, some people may say yes, okay, over, you can go. That will make uncertainty and dissatisfaction in the part of the interview. And definitely we should communicate the result of the thing in a transparent manner. So this is also to be considered as a communication. And other technique is there. Telephone techniques we are taking. Another communication technique. If we are doing a telephone communication, so many etiquettes are there. Values are, or some uh, ethics are there while doing the communication. That is why nowadays call centers are there, and people who are engaged with the call centers, they are trained in a very well manner how to communicate with. If we are listening, because they are communicating with the public. If service messages are received, sometimes we won't be interested to accept it. In the very busy schedule for office time, so people are calling from some call centers and asking whether you want to have one policy of some private institution or whatever it is. We won't be interested. If we are telling something like that, they will be very peacefully, happily, with a very good tone they are playing, because that is what the ability of their communication. Before calling yourself, we should not simply take the phone and call somebody else. After going and after getting a response, only we will understand that this has been wrongly sent. Then we will tell excuse and all. No. Before calling, choose the right time and right person and right number to call. Oh, you most probably, usually, IGNU students doesn't have this courtesy, I think. Even at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, they will call us. We can say that this is open and open education, open and distance education. But in every aspect, we should have the courtesy of calling or using a telephone. Think we are leaving the office at 6 o'clock. If my case is taken, I am reaching at 8 o'clock. Now, after this corona and all, we are very particular in the healthy matters, hygienic matters. After traveling and after engaging with the people, only after taking bath we can have even a drink, a cup of tea, isn't it? In between we will get called. When we are traveling, we will get called. On Sundays we will get called. On Saturdays we will get called. If some other public holidays are there, we will get called, but we will take. That is different. But we should, if I am free, I will make the call. I am not at all thinking about whether the other person is if the situation is convenient for them, whether it may affect them wrongly. Especially, it's a big social issue that ladies are highly involved with familial matters, isn't it? So immediately after the office thing and official matters, they have to engage with family matters. In between, if they are taking a call again and again and not listening the children and husband and the all the people at home, what will happen? What will be happening in their family life? Just imagine. So all this, simply I'm telling some examples. So call time, when we are communicating through telephone, call time is a very important matter. Then, if it is urgent, we have to. So urgency has to be considered, and the cost of the call, and the convenience of the person who is taking. Cost, when we are considering, means when overseas calls we are making, cost of the call, at what time it will be beneficial and profitable for us, like that we have to consider. And time difference also you have to consider. Any Indian standard time won't be acceptable, won't be flexible for calling other people. We know it, but deliberately all these matters have to be put into our mind, and check the number of the okay, of the person, whether it is correct or wrong. Like that. Plan your call. For what purpose you are calling? You are thinking that it will be better if I am calling a person night. You first think what to call. Calling, after attending, you will think what to tell. No, it will make irritation to that person. Then they will irritably ask, who is calling? What is the matter? From where you are calling? Like that they will ask. That is not a good matter of communication. That impression is very much needed. Even if uh, the question is relevant, the background will make irritation and the answer won't be uh, punctually or properly getting. So, for getting the impression of the person on the other side, plan your call and properly ask what is needed. Be prepared. Gather together any files, papers, or other information which may be needed during the call. If you want to ask something and you are not able to by heart everything, you need some data. For example, if you are calling to immediately you should have your enrollment number with you. Otherwise, we will ask, what is your, please wait, ma'am, please wait, I will check it down, check it from the file. Sometimes the students are calling very loudly, Amma, Mama, please come and bring my identity card, like that. So at that time, you have to wait for that. If you are getting prepared to ask some questions to the person who is sitting there, get prepared and keep the documents with them to which holds the matter to transact. You understand? That is there. Then avoid interruptions. Some people, because especially in open learning and distance learning, adult learners are there. Especially in our adult learning, the whole learners are adults. One person having two children. One is they are holding one. The other one will be crying for some other purpose. Do one thing. You manage that situation. Then you call. Otherwise, it is the responsibility of the person who is hearing, and he has to or she has to be there patiently to manage for the management of the situation happening at your home. If your children are not in a comfortable position, you don't call at that time any phone to anybody. It will be an irritating situation. So avoid interruption. Otherwise, you tell the people who are at home, I'm making a call to this office or that person, please. Then they will be keeping silence. Okay. So that interruption is not a good manner while telephoning. During call also, be courteous. If we are attending, the attending person and the phone making calling person, both should be courteous to establish a rapport. and better to ask some good words about that person. If calling and immediately, I'm not telling about official calls. If some personal related calls, if asking their uh, uh, conditions, health condition, or what about others at home? Are you okay? Are you fine? How are you? Like that, we are asking, isn't it? Good. That itself will make a rapport between them. So all these matters have to be put in your mind while doing it. Means words also. Our voice also smile is there. Irritable voice, if we can make a smile in our voice also. Not only in face, in voice also smile is there, isn't it? So that will make the receiver in a confident manner, or the mentality of helpfulness, our interest, everything should be revealed through the voice. Search at your notes means what? Look back at your notes to ensure you have covered everything and got figures and other data correctly. If you are making a very official call to a higher official, keep the file with you and confirm whether the whole matters you have planned to interact with has been utilized and you got all the data needed, or you have asked everything, you have communicated well in the planned manner, like that you verified. Obtain the feedback. What all feedbacks or what all information got from the other side, keep it somewhere, write somewhere, and then note it down. After forgetting it immediately in the second day, you are calling and asking the same thing. That will irritate the person, is it? So when you are calling some person, if you are taking some information from that people, keep it well with you and be courteous means when you are closing the interaction, conversation, say thanks or convey your gratitude for getting that information. Like that, the person who speaks also can say something good. Okay, good night, like that. This will be a good conversation through over phone. Otherwise, phone will we will consider this device as an irritating device at a home or office. So this is also one because we are dealing with adults, adult education. So in this way, we have to move ahead with our communication skills. And two more points were there. After noting down the points we have communicated each other, one thing also have to be made. So if you are a person in adult education or in curriculum framework or whatever it is, or in an office, always make a habit of keeping notes of the calls. Immediately you write in your diary or in the notebook, this particular person has called and asked for something, and this was the demand of the person. And by utilizing the system, you can take action on that. You can solve the issue. Then only the communication process over phone, we can say, completed. Okay. So remember all these points. Non-verbal communication. We are making a video call or we are seeing each other face to face, we are sitting, our posture. It's a big thing. That is why we are, when Google Meet classes are going on, we are telling them, don't, some people, they are seeing, they are utilizing their phone, putting the headphone or the speaker, the headphone, and then they will lie somewhere. If the video is open, it is irritable to others, isn't it? Our facial expression, our gestures, our eye contact, our posture, etc., are very important when we are doing non-verbal communication, means visual communication. Now, I was telling about visual communication, oral communication. These are communication media, isn't it? What are the relevance of visual communication media than oral communication? So many oral communication situations we told. Visual communication also we told. This is also a visual communication. At the same time, it is auditory, visual communication also, because I have opened my camera. You can see me. Visual communication, it saves time and it helps memory, because if we are seeing one dramatic or a means documentary film on a particular concept of adult education, definitely that film will make us give us more clarity than the material reading of that particular topic, isn't it? So that visibility, that visual communication will give us more clarity and it will save time. Means immediately with one uh, view, we will understand everything. But if it is in book, several times you have to read. And at the same time, the visual communication made on that particular education will help our memory. We won't forget. But reading matters sometimes may, and it stimulates imagination. That is why nowadays the integration of educational technology taken into consideration with the materials. We are integrating diagrams, pictures. Now, at the QR codes are also there. We are using QR codes in the study materials. It will make us visibility of, if we are utilizing the QR code, sometimes we can view videos of the study materials. Isn't it? Links are given for visibility. A link is given in the study material. Just click on that. What will happen? We can see the visualized pictures of that concept or the situation, like that. So it will make education more meaningful, more attention, span of attention, it will increase, memory will be there, it will create more imagination in us, and we can share that visual things to our peers and all over the world than a book. We can easily communicate with others. Easily we can share the information to others. That's what happening nowadays. If we have an Android phone, everything will be there. Yeah, it's like an encyclopedia, unlike a workshop, unlike a university, isn't it? Everything is ready. Everything we can, from admission to certificate, will be obtained through this one. So communication media is that much effective in curriculum transaction and learning process. Also, visual media provides so many pictures. So some kinds of visual media uh, integrations in the materials or in the study platforms. Pictures we can utilize, especially in the adult education curriculum. Puppets we can utilize. Dramas, puppetry, that's the art form of using puppets in dramas, street plays and role plays. Everything I have discussed yesterday. So you can continue if you are coming to this portion after hearing or listening the previous session. Simply you can understand everything. No need to tell more. Everybody knows it because all these aspects, all these equipments and the visual media platforms are familiar with all the students. Audio cassettes, videos, broadcast media, TV, this radio, etc. Teleconferencing, teleconferencing is there. E Gyanvani is there. You are getting so many classes and audio lessons through that, and video lessons are also there shared with our e-Gyan Kosh, this Gyan Darshan channel, Swayam Prabha channel. Swayam platform is also giving chances for viewing video lessons of your classes. Like that, we are at the super stage of communication technology, isn't it? So everything you can, yeah, all these mentioned matters can be added along with this. So what are the advanced things that also you can utilize this. Swayamprabha channel, I think I don't know whether you are familiar with that. Swayamprabha channel is the Ministry of Education's education channel, and IGNOU is also having 4 channels in it, and we are imparting direct live classes through Swayamprabha channels. So their archives are always beneficial for us. We can view all the previously broadcasted classes. They are kept there in the Swayamprabha archive. Swayam videos are also there. That's a MOOC platform of Swayam, that is also from the Ministry of Education. And all these are helping the current scenario students, especially the adult learners are getting, because our adult learners are not near the literacy functional period learners. No, functional literacy was at that time people were coming for adult education only for literacy. And later it became functional literacy and continuing education like that. But nowadays education means on fingertip they have all the communication facilities, and this type of non-formal education programs have been transacted or broadcasted through the different types of medias. And forms of communication. Forms of communication, we are telling about curriculum development also in the same way. Top down, I told yesterday. Do you remember? The top down approach of curriculum development, what it was? It was the preparation of the or the development of the curriculum from the topmost level people to downwards. Topmost means the education experts and the people who are in the apex bodies sitting there planning and designing the curriculum, and they are preparing the materials, and they transacted to the various group of peoples like that. Like that, the same thing is downward, means the communication of the curriculum. We are going through curriculum communication. The curriculum is being communicated from the topmost people to the down or to the beneficiaries direct. That is downward. Then upward is means it is framed and communicated by the through a participant approach from the community, and it has been given to up. Up also beneficiaries are there. So the grassroots level formation and development of curriculum and communication from that level to up. That is what? Upward. Then what is horizontal? Horizontal is horizontal communication. The transaction, the curriculum communication is happening in between, not from the top and among the participants. If I am telling another clear example, if we are writing to headquarters, that is upward. If IGNOU headquarters people are communicating with some notifications, regulations, rules, standard operational procedures, etc., to down to the lower level, that is downward. If one regional center director is sending a communication to another regional center director, that is horizontal. And in between the system, that is happening in diagonal. And unofficial communications more. If we are simply telling about not official and simply we are calling and giving some communication to the colleagues or some outside people or the family members, whatever it is, that is unofficial. So I think it is very clear. It is a symbol also. Okay. Now, a communication, we have told a lot of principles, rules, characteristics, everything regarding communication. Now, a particular matter is given as a principle in your study material as the principle of communication. That is known as AIDA principle of communication. AIDA. AIDA principle of communication. The 4 letters AIDA represents each characteristic or each terminologies. The first A is attract attention. while doing the communication, attract attention of the people and stop to read what you are saying, so that people stop to read what you are saying. Means what? A telling photograph, a bold and provocative or a catchy headline, a striking design of a combination of those will attract attention. That is attraction. Means almost every time we won't get sufficient time to read all the matters, but only by a striking title or by the diagram or the design will attract. Then we will check. The emblems are very important in that cases. Some advertisements say the title of the advertisement is attracting us, isn't it? And unknowingly, we will go for that and we will attend. That attraction is needed in communication. Then the attract the reader's interest. The interest is here I, so that they will read on. They will continue the communication and absorb the and understand the message you are communicating. If you are preparing a study material, the interest of the people has to be seen, and the material should be prepared in such a manner. Then the reading interest will go. The paper of the material, the typing and the avoiding of spelling mistakes, the diagrams, the page arrangements, the graphics, the mappings given, everything will be attractive points. Then D is to stimulate the desire in the audience. To stimulate the desire of the audience or the reader to do something about the problem, to donate money, or to work with you as a volunteer, that desire will come out. If a person is having a desire to do something, the communication will promote the desire and will attract the person to come to that platform for working. So the communication should have a key area, a key point to attract the desire of the people. Then again A comes as action. The prompt form of action. Provide a mechanism for sending money or pleading support, or to write a letter to a politician about the issue, or to recruit another supporter, etc. Means action means here, otherwise you can think that we did a communication, a grievance communication was it, and you were going through the communication. Finally, action is needed. If that grievance redressal mechanism is being continued only on the basis of the action taken on that. So, if one grievance is received from the side of a student, if we have given the proper communication and action on that, definitely it will promote, it will attract the student to that system. Means the communication happening in this system is the attraction point of that. If the adult education curriculum is communicating in that way for the action of the development of the society, definitely the communication happening through the curriculum transaction will be fruitful and effective, and more people will come as adult learners to be with that. These are some specific examples I am telling, but generally, if we are telling as a principle, AIDA principle of communication, this is that. So communication has to be efficient to put attention on the people, to attract their interest, to promote their desire, and to prompt action, to provide prompt action on that. That is the meaningful communication. And that principle has to be taken there while doing communication at any stage, anywhere. 1 second, please. Sir, a short break, sir. Okay. Let us come back. I'll continue my presentation. Please listen. Okay. So we were discussing about curriculum transaction, a role of information and communication technologies. But before that, we were very elaborately discussing about the different types of communication technologies in education and how communicating has to be taken place in an effective manner, and different approaches, different principles, everything we have discussed. Now, what all matters we have discussed on communication is for the application of that communication into curriculum transaction of adult education, isn't it? So, when we are applying the communication technologies in the field of education, it works as an instrument of technology. Instrument. All the ICT facilities are instrumental to. We are utilizing as instruments for communication. For example, we are using radio. I told you about Gyanvani, Gyandarshan, etc. I like that earlier. This internet utilization of many facilities, provisions of communication technologies like slide projection, flip cards. So many communication technologies were there. I was discussing about yesterday also. We were telling about different types of communication, means teaching technologies, etc. So radio, television, computer, compact disc player, etc. All the technology we are using in the curriculum transaction as an instrument for curriculum transaction. Using that instrument, we are transacting the curriculum. Like that. It is an instructional technology also, not mere instrument, but it is an instructional technology also. Using radio is an instructional technology. Computer assisted techniques are there. Computer assisted technology for instruction. From the name itself, you can understand that that is a technical technology for instruction. So all the multimedia we are using, audio cassette, video cassettes, multimedia, web, yeah, all these things are instructional technologies, and all these are for disseminating knowledge or transacting knowledge or curriculum. So dissemination technology, broadcast of radio, the process when the knowledge communication is utilized and processing, or communication is processed, at that time it is not mere instrument or instruction technology, but it is dissemination technology. So the same thing can be utilized in different stages, in different status. When it is considered as an instrument, it is instrumental technology. When it uses instruction for instruction, it is instructional technology. When it passes the information to the next people or a public or a mass media or among the students, it is dissemination technology. Broadcasting the radio. Radio is instrument and broadcasting through radio is dissemination. The audio cassettes using in the instrument radio is instructional technology. Like that. You understood the sense of the terminologies I am using here. Okay. Then, all these are for increasing access. For what we are using ICT technology? It's for increasing the access with the learners or the beneficiaries. So, at the pandemic period, everybody was sitting at home, working from home, studying from home. So, when the movement transportation stopped, restricted to avoid the spread of pandemic, the whole almost all things happening in the offices and institutions were taken place, and they were moving and they were working or processing using ICTs. Information communication technology were used for that. So What our computer is we are living in a computerized world, more than that of this radio, television, internet, etc. Internet is the main thing. In the computer we are utilizing for working from far away, work from home, and work from learn from home also. So ICT technologies are used in a broad manner to increase the access of the people. If we are providing the classes in a face-to-face situation, students who are going and attending the class only will be benefited. And this class will be benefited for the whole students of PGD adult education in all over India. And further, the recorded classes can be utilized for further use. If some of the students have not received the opportunity to get into the class, they can utilize it further. This will be a repository, utilized as a repository also. So in adult education, in non-formal education, this is one of the best technology, ICT technology, for increasing the access of the learners. So it will enable adult education workers to reach more individuals with the appropriate messages and teaching learning resources. So our class itself is one of the best example for that. Now, rich media transmission is possible. So access will be increased. Rich media transmission means the use of video and television transmission can bring in real life experience to the adults. People were taking videos themselves. Now, I think this pandemic period, almost all were being able to record videos, preparing videos, even films, short films, documentaries, and everybody is now having their own channels. Like that, people were equipped with ICT. So rich media transmission is possible with. So in real life experience, we never thought that we can be one videographer for one program, and we are preparing, we are taking, we are shooting one program, we are writing the script, we are making the content, we are shooting it, we are editing it, we are transmitting it. So in such a position, people came. They reached in that position. So the adult education scenario and make learning experience richer by visual appeal. So, more than that of mere hearing or reading of the study materials, it made a rich media effect in the field of adult education. And then it made interaction. You know that the students group, WhatsApp groups of students, if one person is getting an information, within seconds it will be transacted to others in the group. So there is no communication gap between the people, beneficiaries or the learners. So using technology, adult learners can participate in a virtual learning scenario to communicate with peers at different places. Such an approach would help peer learning and contextualize the practice-based learning. What is contextualized practice-based learning? Practice-based learning implemented in context, situations, according to the context. So, situational matters were put into experience, and it made everybody to access and to participate or behave like a participant of that program. And interactions considered to be single most important ingredient necessary for learning. So without interaction, peer interaction, nothing is happening nowadays in adult education. So a single learner is not able to learn something without the help of the group. Everything is possible using ICT technology. This feature provided by ICTs in a welcome addition to, it made a welcome addition to adult learners. So it made easy access and widespread communication and reach of proper time information properly authenticated. It is not because as such, if we are getting a message from the teacher or the curriculum developer or from the facilitator As such, we can forward to everybody. There is no need of giving some interpretation or some misreadings. Nothing is happening. As such, it can be shared. It's a very big opportunity in the adult education system. And media integration is also there. Different types of media we are utilizing. Text, graphics, audio, video, everything can be utilized in this scenario with the use of ICTs. It is now possible to integrate all these and also bring in animation through multimedia for creating learning environments. The use of multimedia also increases learner control and empowers the individual learner to choose his or her learning paths, which media they want to have as per, because we are giving an option for the learners. Do you want to have print material or a soft copy of the material? Some people are interested to have the reading facility or the material in the form of soft copies. That is there. This is on the basis and the interest of the learner. So that integration is possible, and which will be in tune with the principles of adult learning. Oh, everything is prepared in tune with the principles of adult learning. So if we are utilizing that particular digital system, no problem. That is also prepared on the basis of the principles of adult education. So if we are utilizing this multiple media or multiple platforms, everything is adaptable and acceptable by the learners and beneficial also. It will make uh, in good use to attain the objectives of your education. Then storage and retrieval is a big concern for us. We can store the matters. That is what I was telling earlier. We can record it, we can store it, we can reuse it, we can retrieve the information. So wrong information passed, that thing is not at all there. Evidence is there. Things are captured by cameras, isn't it? Like that, right? If one student is telling that the informer or the teacher was telling an information and it is wrong and it is not like the norms of the university, you can check it, because the direct video is shared with you. You can check it whether in which way it has been transacted or told. If some feedback is given, if it is seen as wrong, definitely feedback will be from the students and we can correct it. We can remake it, we can correct it, we can give correct information. So all that facilities are there in ICT enhanced teaching learning platforms. So quality of learning will be enhancing by this. The educational opportunities are being expanded and they, sorry, it has happened something. Let you know what the point is. 1 second, please. Some error has been happened in the copy pasting of the points from the material. Once again, please, I'll take it. It is impact of information technology. Okay. So, enhancing of the educational opportunities. That is what we were telling about. And at the same time, the widespread, the enhancement of the provisions of education means monitoring of evaluation. Right? Okay. So the utilization of the learning materials widespread, that is also another opportunity and another benefit by utilizing the ICT in education. And the transparency of knowledge. Another thing is transparency of knowledge and the transparency of communication and the retrieval of the communication and storage of the communication. Storage of the communication always help us to make information repository everywhere, and it will be available and it can be taken out at any time we need. So this flexibility of learning is offered to the field of adult education. That is the very big important point in this one, because adult learners, as per the peculiarity of the adult learners are sometimes engaged with their professions, their education, their other livelihood matters. If they are not able to sit in the class at the time of the real class, they can utilize the retrieved data or the resources or the repository for further learning as per their convenience. That is the biggest thing, and only because of that reason many people will come forward to join for adult education enabled with the ICT. It is the ICT. Now, you don't think that there are so many issues while utilizing this ICT. Some mythological, some myths are there among the society. So, means they are thinking that this widespread use of technology made a lot of problems in the among the students. But against the benefits, people are thinking about some. So instead of this uh, repeated points, you can say that enhancing the quality of learning, enhancing the educational opportunities, expanding the um, platform for getting access, and expanding the number of enrollment. That is also an aim of adult education. So if more people are getting opportunity to learn, that is also possible by utilizing this ICT. So like that, whatever positive impact you are thinking on implementation of ICT or role of ICT in education, you can add with this. Always I am telling you not to simply follow the things given in the study material. You do everything as your own wish and your own knowledge. There is a like that. We have to go through the myths regarding the implication or regarding the implementation of ICT in education. Everywhere, especially up to the higher secondary level, the problem faced by parents, teachers, and the society as the effect of ICT has to be considered. Means it can replace teachers and schools. Is it possible? You just think about it. Is it possible to replace teachers by the ICT communication technologies? No, never. Because the psychological security, the psychological approach of education is always telling that no technology can substitute teachers. Impact of teachers, their face-to-face interaction is a different matter. But ICT made it very much easily, and a little bit to some extent it made substitution, because if a two-way communication possibility is there in ICT utilized classrooms, so because online classrooms are there teacher and student can see each other. A real-time interaction can be conducted. When at the time of teaching itself, if the student is involving by unmuting the mic, they can ask questions, they can see by utilizing the camera of the platform, they can see each other. Even we can use whiteboards, we can write, we can draw diagrams. At the same time, teacher can draw, the student can draw, and they can share it. At the same time, they can label it. Virtual labs are there. Augmented realities are there. So if other like implications are there, implementations of ICT is there. If we are utilizing all the provisions of ICT in a full-fledged manner, definitely to some extent we can substitute, but it's not totally, because moreover, education is a process of behavior modification. The absence of teacher, at least sometimes in some certain level of education, high education, that won't be happened that much, but at school level, when a small child is enrolled in a school, this child is substituting the teacher instead of his or her mother. They want to have love, affection, their touch, their interaction, their protection, and he needs psychological security. ICT cannot provide it. So problems are there, but to some extent, a great extent, we can utilize this ICT facilities instead of teachers. That's all. So totally, I cannot also agree. You cannot also. You can also disagree. So think critically and reflect your answers in the answers on this one. Nobody can, you or me can, or the book writers cannot write like that, because the book is written once and the things are happening time to time. Change is going on, change is coming, change occurs, and the ICT implications are also being changed. So we cannot predict what is happening tomorrow, but we are utilizing. We are forced to utilize. We are compelled to utilize all the implementations in our real time experiences of education, especially in adult education. And some people were thinking that ICT means computers and internet only. Is it so? ICT means internet and computers only? No. ICT has very different, varied types of communication processes are there in ICT, and that also how to be utilized for the restructuring of things. So you don't think that if we are taking something from the internet, that only is the ICT facility. No, I have told you a lot of provisions in the referring the previous point, that is also to be taken into consideration while thinking about ICT. Okay, then what is the next point? Let us see. Effects of ICT is definite. That is what some of the people they are thinking. Effects of ICT are definite. Is it definite or indefinite? What do you think about it? It is indefinite, infinite, definite, and infinite. So, uh, in some particular occasions, when student means in a social aspect or in a psychological aspect, when students are using ICT and utilizing all their learning aspects through ICT in school levels, it was a very big issue from the parents. That is what I was starting to tell at the from explaining the first point itself. If we are being addicted to that, that will also affect the mental setup of the learners, no doubt, because student has to be directed through many behavioral aspects. That's what I told. Education being a behavioral process of behavioral science, we cannot simply say that the involvement of teacher is not needed. That we cannot say. That is needed, and especially the use of overuse of addiction of phone and other um, equipments in ICT made a lot of problems among the youngsters. And people are telling that uh, the workers in the ICT field, they don't have any other entertainment, they don't have any connection with the community people, they don't have social development, they have so many health issues. Like that, a lot of comments are told by the public, or by the beneficiaries, or by the experts in the field as the effect of ICT. And um how do you see it? That also has to be written and discussed in a particular manner, means in a critical manner. Whatever facilities are coming on the way of our life, we cannot simply say that everything is beyond our study, everything is beyond our expectation, and the limits and interpretations will be in a definite manner. No, because it's a growing society, it is a changing society. In that growing society, or in a day-to-day basis changing society, things will be changed. How it is utilized, if the ICT facilities are utilized in a proper manner, definitely the benefit of the implications and integration of ICT in education can be utilized. Otherwise, it will badly affect, it will negatively affect the society and the development of the learners. So, health issues are also there. So many health issues are still there. The radiation of the system we are using, and our eyesight is affected, always utilizing the ICT facilities. And we were telling about the imagination of the people. If a visual matter gives an effect in the imagination of the student, at the same time, some older people, they are telling